Hey, I'm Michael Murray, and today I'm going to give you some tips and hints on how to get a better vocal sound inside your own digital audio workstation using just stock plugins. Hope you enjoy. Alright guys, so we're over at Pro Tools now. Like I mentioned, and this will work in any digital audio workstation, but right now I'm using Pro Tools and I will only be using stock plugins from Pro Tools, which will obviously come free in any of the software that you have. Adobe Audition, Logic, GarageBand, they all have stock plugins that will do this job. So without further ado, I have a track loaded in. It's one of my originals, a song called Behind Blue Eyes, and what I'll do is I'll play you a little bit now with no processing, just a bit of backing track and a vocal. It goes like this.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to gray.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of what we are working with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the mixer view right now and show you what we've got. So basically this is the vocal channel, and this is how I would quickly process vocals to have a listen. Again, this is going to help you get a nice, cleaner, more professional and controlled sound. We're going to start off with a little bit of compression. Now I won't get into the details of compression, what everything's happening and what's doing, but what I will do is show you what I roughly would do. So I will solo the track and I'll press play and I'll have a little look and set some compressor settings that will again control the dynamic of the vocal before we send it anywhere else. Here it is.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to gray. Clear your head of ifs and whys. See the rain clouds in the sky. You're behind blue eyes.
And again.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to gray. Clear your head of ifs and whys. See the rain clouds in the sky. You're behind blue eyes.
Alright, that's somewhere near. So what I was doing there is changing the actual parameters of everything just to get a bit more controlled sound. So when the louder parts were coming and spiking, we were pulling them down and controlling them a little bit better. I was bypassing it to listen to the level, trying to match that with the gain. So it wasn't loudness that we were judging more of what the compressor was doing. So that will do for the time being. Again, in the description I will link all my settings. At the end of this I'll have a good run through myself and put some settings down that are kind of go-to default settings that I would use just to clean things up a little bit. So we've gone from the compressor. Now what I usually do is send that to an EQ. Everyone has their own way of working. I like to control the transients first before I send it to an EQ. Again, I'm going to use stock plugin. So we'll bring up Pro Tools stock plugin and we will again listen to the vocal and I'll make some changes and then explain what I've done.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to gray. Clear your head of ifs and whys. See the rain clouds in the sky. You're behind blue eyes.
And again.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to gray. Clear your head of ifs and whys. See the rain clouds in the sky. You're behind blue eyes.
Right, so all I've done there is basically put what they call a high pass filter. This guy here, it filters out any kind of low end rumble that doesn't need to be in the voice, because the voice doesn't go that low. And then around this area, this is for my voice. I have a little bit of a kind of low MIDI kind of boxy sound to my voice when I'm singing up there. So what I do is I kind of, as you're seeing me boost it up to here, I scrolled across a little bit using the frequency. And once I found the part that didn't sound nice, I took it out by a little bit. What you also can do, if you're looking for a little bit of sheen on your voice, you can come over to the high frequency section. And what you can do is take it to around about 5k. You could stick up a little bit of a boost. I would say no more than kind of a 2 dB gain, just purely because it'll sound really toppy. And then use the Q. It's called a Q. That's kind of how wide or how narrow you use the gain. I usually smooth it off so I get a kind of smooth line. Again, I would always go back to this after the processing, listen to what it's done, and then change that. So we'll go for that for now. I'm going to have a little listen to this when it's on and then off.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to grey.
So you can hear it's added a little bit of air up there. Probably a little bit too much for my liking right now, but I'm trying to get them to be a little bit exaggerated so you can hear them. So what I've done with the vocal, I've kind of cleaned that up a little bit. Now, because we've added and took away, the transients that we started with, that we controlled with this first compressor, have now gone through to an EQ. And that EQ now has added its own variation of transients. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it back through a compressor. Now, like I said, we're using stock stuff, so I'll go back to the same compressor. I usually use a couple of different ones. I use Waves and Universal Audio, and I change them up depending on the vocal I'm using. But just for this, because again, it's to show people who's just bought some recording stuff during the lockdown how to get a bit more polished sound, I'm going to reuse the same compressor. So we're going to go back to the stock compressor, and I'm just going to have a listen through what it's doing, just have a little look, and maybe just put some light compression to grab the last little few bits and bobs. So it will go like this.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to grey. Clear your head of ifs and whys. See the rain clouds in the sky. You're behind blue eyes.
Again, that's catching a couple of the stray transients. So that's that. For now, that's what I would do to clean the vocal up. What I'll do is I'll play this through and let you have a listen with and without the processing. So this is what we started with, and halfway through I'll turn it on for you to listen to what we've got so far.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to grey. Clear your head of ifs and whys. See the rain clouds in the sky.
So as you can hear, it's still very dry. We haven't sent it to any reverb yet, but it is a lot more controlled, a lot more room in the mix, and it sounds like it's not sat on top or underneath the mix, it's actually in the mix now. So having said that, we'll have a look at changing the dryness of it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a new track. The track is going to be a stereo auxiliary track. I'm going to rename it Reverb. And what I'm going to do, like I said before, stock stuff, I'm going to go to Pro Tools Zone Deverb. Now what I'm going to do, just for easiness for this one, I'm going to drag up a default. A lot of your plugins will have defaults, and just use them. if it says female vocal, use a female vocal on an EQ or a compressor. Use them to the best of your ability. Again, I'm not using on the plugins, I haven't used them. I'll pull one up for quickness now, but there we go, slow ballad. And what I like to do with reverb also is just after the reverb, I like to put a one band EQ, meaning I'm cutting out all of the low rumble from around about 600 hertz or so, that will just clean the reverb up. It won't affect the bottom end of your voice. It'll take it away and clean it up. So this reverb here, we're going to go to the reverb input, we're going to go to bus and bus it out at 2324. We're then going to go to the send part of the vocal, and we're going to select the bus that we have set the reverb on, which is 2324. Now this slider will tell us how much or how less of the reverb we use. So what we'll do is we'll play the track, we'll have a listen, and we'll decide whereabouts nice. I'll push it a little bit harder than I would just for you to be able to hear it. And again, like I said, in the description I will put some settings, rough parameters, what I would use for you to be able to dial them in yourself. Let's listen to this.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to grey. Clear head of ifs and whys. See the rain clouds in the sky. You're behind blue eyes.
Alright, so as you can hear now, we've got reverb on that, probably a little bit more than I would normally use, but just to give you an idea. So just to recap, dry vocal into a compressor, match the gain level of the compressor just so it's not overusing. After that compressor, we'll send it to an EQ. We're going to clean things up on the EQ, and then after the EQ, another compressor just to catch the last little bits. This controls the sound completely. I'm not pushing the compressors really hard. I'm using two softer compressors rather than a big hard compressor so that we're not getting a horrible pulsing kind of sound. And then after that, we're sending the vocal to the reverb and getting that nice sound. Now lastly, all we need to look at now is this master fader. You have a master fader on everything. We don't want to be taking this up to the red. We need to be getting it as high as we possibly can without it clipping into the red, otherwise we'll have distortion. So if we look at my master fader,
paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to grey.
you'll see that we've not got anything above kind of -2 or -1.8 or something like that. So we've got a good level going in. So what we'll do is we'll recap now. We'll turn everything off, listen halfway through, and then I'll turn them on halfway through. You can listen to the difference.
Paint a picture in a frame. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it fade to grey. Clear head of ifs and whys. See the rain clouds in the sky. You're behind blue eyes.
So there you have it, a nice clean controlled sound. Again, they're a little bit extreme to what I would use, a little bit more top end than I'd use, and when this video is finished I will have a little play about with them sounds, make sure that I can get a nicer, cleaner sound and controlled sound for you, and I will put the links in the description. If you've enjoyed this video, or if you think this video has helped you, please give me a like and a subscribe. It's only my first video, so they'll only get better with time. And if anyone needs any other help with any type of recording or anything to do with processing, especially vocals, please leave a comment and I'll do my best to be able to do a video for that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye now.